It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
Okay.
There, that's how we start. That is the perfect way for Andy to start. Okay.
Some lip
There we
smacking.
go. All right. Somebody choose something. You're a real charmer. Fine Saturday matinee to you both. Steve, Andy, very, very good to hear your voices this morning.
And may the luck of the
there it
Irish
is.
be with you. See, I had to throw it in somehow. It's not even St. Patrick's Day.
No,
but
that's all right.
Not even close.
That's all right.
not even close. Every day is St. Patrick's Day to me.
What's going on in your movie lives, gents?
I've been busy watching stuff. I like this post Iron Man movies by the minute time. I'm getting back to my zone.
We should say that you're now officially a few. I mean, it's been 2 weeks now since you finished editing. That's gotta feel like a big weight.
Actually, a week.
Right
It's just
off
been
your
a week.
shoulder.
I finished last weekend.
And since then, you've seen 73 movies.
It feels that way. And it feels good.
All right, so give me the high points.
Booksmart was definitely a high point. That was great. I
crushes me. I
really
haven't
did
seen that yet.
enjoy that film.
Yeah, I got to get out and see that too.
Yeah, it's just super smart, lots of fun, raunchy, but not like Porky's type of raunchy. Or even super bad. I don't know. I just thought they nailed it with the characters. I mean, it's very a lot of high school caricatures running through it, but I think that they give them all great different characters and everything. I enjoyed it quite a bit. So that was definitely a high point for me. Also, I finally finished watching the Alien short films, which was fun to kind of go through the rest of that run.
I saw those coming through your letterboxd.
Yeah. Did you guys watch all of those? Steve, you're the one who pointed them out to me.
Yeah, and I've been, it's been a busy couple of weeks, and I don't know that I'm fully caught up. I would go back and, catch, one or two. So I don't know what the most recent one was, but
Alone was the most recent. There's only 6.
Is there only 6? I may have seen them all. I don't usually log the shorts on my letterbox though, so I think I got through all of them. I mean, there were some that were stronger than others, but I really enjoyed those. It was nice. It's nice revisiting that universe.
Well, and I just think what I enjoyed so much about it is that they were people who were doing a much better job with the Alien franchise than Ridley Scott. They were actually telling alien stories that I was interested in seeing.
That's awesome. Where are they? Where are they streaming? Are they streaming? I'm assuming they're streaming on the Alien site.
They're on YouTube.
Oh, they're on YouTube.
Yeah, they're on IGN. Actually, released all of them.
Yeah, you can go to the alienuniverse.com and they have them all embedded there, so you can watch them. Actually, Andy, the last one was Alien Harvest.
Oh, Harvest was okay. For some reason, I thought Alone was the last one, but there are only 6, and IGN released all of them, and I think the last one released in April. So I mean, they've been out for a few months now. Definitely worth checking out. And like Pete said, there are some that are better than others, but there's some really good stuff in there.
All right, they're on the list. They're in the show notes.
Yeah.
Andy, what is you didn't like the most recent Ricardo Darín film you watched, Truman? You logged this morning.
I didn't not like it. I liked it, but I just didn't love it as much as some of his other films.
How many more do you have left now?
I've kind of become obsessed with watching as many of his films as I can that are available. That's the thing, is like he's got a huge back catalog, and most of them are just not available up here in the States, unfortunately. But Truman was, it was a touching story. There was just some stuff that I didn't think it was as strong as some of his previous ones, but it's still, it's an entertaining watch. It's streaming on Amazon Prime. So if you're interested in checking it out, it's about, he's dying of lung cancer, and he's in a position where he's decided to not continue treatments because it's just not helping. And his friend is visiting him, and largely it's about him trying to figure out what to do with his dog, Truman.
Oh,
And so, yeah, because he's, it's his second child, as he says.
It's a dog story.
It's less a dog story than it is, a story between these two friends and kind of his journey.
So what you're saying is maybe it would have been better had it been more of a dog story. I get it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but they really do their best to avoid going down the treacly a dog's tail route. For the better, right. I would argue. Yeah.
Steve, what have you seen?
I've been trying to work through my noir on the Criterion Channel, and I wrote a 4-star review of In a Lonely Place, but I don't know. I feel like it might be leaning more towards 4.5, 5 stars the more I keep thinking about this movie, because the writing is so sharp and smart and witty, and this is the second noir in the noir Columbia Noir on Criterion that's got Gloria Graham, and she's just amazing in this movie, and Humphrey Bogart, and it just works so well. And at first I thought, oh, it's okay, and then it got better and better, and then I started writing a review, and I said, no, let me sit and think about this, and it just keeps, I don't know how it keeps gaining stars as I'm just thinking about it, but it's one that I think I under-reviewed it. I don't know, because it just feels like this might be like a perfect movie. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know if I can go back and re-edit that, or maybe it's just because I watched something like Funny Games after it, which is just like a horrible movie, which I know it's supposed to be.
Steve, I have a really hard time hearing you talk about these, particularly back to back, and staring at them on your Letterboxd page and see A Lonely Place, which I don't know. It could be a 5-star movie for it, but it has 4 stars right now, and Funny Games has 3.5.
Well, see, here's the thing about Funny Games. It's doing what it's supposed to do, which is it's not supposed to be a comfortable experience. And so I'm going to rate it on that. Just because it makes you feel horrible and is making a commentary on violence and asking about the audience's role in Hollywood making these violent films, just because it makes you feel uncomfortable about that doesn't mean it's a bad movie. Mm-hmm. And so it's in that 3.5. I'm not going to go watch again. I think it accomplishes what it does. And there's so many amazing things that it's doing. The way it's shot. There's that 10-minute single shot, sort of like the camera's mostly locked off. I think there's a slight pan, but it's just like 10 minutes, single take of 2 people. And it's just devastating to watch. And I have to give him credit for that. Now, this is the 97, the original version. It's actually available on the Criterion Channel. I haven't seen the 2007 one, which I know was the original intent was to make an American version, because this was his message to the American audiences. But I don't know that I want to watch the 2007 one, because as I understand, it's
once you've seen it.
Yeah, I don't need to see it again with Tim Roth and Naomi Watts, and no. So I figured I'll pick one. While that one was there, I'll do that. So yeah, I'm in my noir phase. It's been busy around here. I haven't had a chance to get out to see Booksmart. That's on my list. I know I mentioned that last week. Yeah, that's sort of where I am, and I. Trying to keep up with other things. There's summer TV is happening and all of that, and new series on Netflix. There's that Jon Favreau one. That's like the chef thing. What is it? The Chef Show? And I know that there was a clip that was making the rounds on the internet of a scene with Gwyneth Paltrow. I don't know. Did you guys see this?
That was enormously satisfying. This is talk about it.
Well, the thing is, I love the movie Chef, which this makes me want to go back and watch it again, because I haven't seen it in several years. But just the idea of, I love when Favreau does these little side projects like this, but the idea of he's sitting there just talking with Gwyneth Paltrow about, she asked what they're shooting this for, and they said, well, we don't know, and it's going to be this show. He said, it sort of started when we were in Atlanta shooting Spider-Man, and she's like, what? He's like, when we were in Spider-Man together. She has no clue at all, whatsoever about what he's talking about, which I guess if you're an actor in that Marvel Cinematic Universe, you're just getting called in all the time to shoot scenes. You may not know what you show up, you do your scenes, she's got small parts. She's not going to see the whole script. Here, you have to do this one scene. Oh, okay. And I guess because Spider-Man's been in Avengers movies, she's just figuring, oh, this is a scene in one of the Avengers movies. I don't know. Apparently she doesn't watch her stuff. So, yeah. Which I guess I can understand. She's busy with her goop and all of that stuff. So, but it was just sort of the live realization of, oh, I was in Spider-Man is quite comical. Worth checking out.
That's a very funny reaction. Okay, so I got a little bit of catch up that I'm pretty excited to talk about because I missed the show last week. And so I have just a couple of things I want to talk about. The first is I would have talked about last week FP2 Beats of Rage.
Oh,
you guys.
Yes, please tell us.
You guys, this movie. Now oh goodness, we talked about this, the first of these movies, what was it called? I've now forgotten it. What was it called? The Jason Trost extravaganza. The FP.
Is it the FP?
The ancient game becomes a deadly sport. They fight for control of. It was Beat Revolution, right? The game. It's Mad Max, but with the video game, the dance off video game, and we talked about it because we had a guest on the Speakeasy. Sarah Trost, part of the family, and she was great. She was a fantastic guest, and so we went. Did you ever go back and watch this, Andy? These movies?
I started. I started watching the FP, and then I'm like, you know what? I just don't need to finish this one.
Well, I needed to do that for you and watch the sequel because she talked about the fact that even back then they were already working on the sequel. Well, it took a little while, but they managed it. And this is one of the very few, this is a unicorn review in my letterbox because it's a solid 1 star with a big glowing heart. Like, this is not a great movie, and I still really enjoyed watching it. It was super fun. And so if you're into just wackadoo, homage-laden movies about video game dance-off competitions in the post-apocalyptic universe, this is your movie. You've got to see it. So that's the one from last week that I wanted to highlight. This week, I did go out and see Dark Phoenix, the highly controversy-laden, reshoot thick, highly postponed last of the X-Men first class of X-Men movies. You guys, this was not a great movie. And it was not a great movie for one reason. This script is terrible. Every time anybody opens their mouths, it's just dribble. It's just awful. It's nonsense oozes from their faces over and over. It is such a template of a movie that it's the amalgamation. You know those workshops, you can sign up for workshops, how to beat Hollywood workshops and how to write a script that'll be bought workshops. You go to these workshops, you hear people who have said all you have to do is take all of the movies that have been made this year and rewrite them in kind of a different universe. Well, this is that movie in X-Men. It is the masthead on a ship that is this genre careening toward an iceberg. It is the worst of those movies. And yet, everyone in the movie, they just deserved so much better. This is an amazing cast that is just turned into dumb robot superhero actors, and I was very sad for them. I am more heartbroken for the people who had to say the words that were written on the page than anything else. So this is not one of those. It just makes me sad, and so please let me be not patient zero on this movie. Take your time.
So what you're really saying is that for the Dark Phoenix storyline, The Last Stand is really the one to turn to.
You know what, Andy?
That's
what I'm saying. I think you're going to turn to this one just because it's new, right? But and if you want a non-example of CG hair, like how not to do hair, this is your movie. Right. It's a terrible alien hair that doesn't work and takes you right out of the movie every single time. Not at all a slight to the many, many craftspeople who made this movie. There is some brilliant stuff on screen and just beautiful exercise of color and light. And so in that regard, it holds up. Like if you could watch it on mute, this is your movie.
So it's bad hair, CG hair, but then it's also bad wigs, like the one on what's her name? Why am I blanking on her?
Which one? Jessica Chastain?
Jessica Chastain with the normally beautiful red hair, and now she's got that freaky white wig.
Yeah, and it's freaky. It's tough. Hair, I guess you're right. Hair is tough all over. In this movie, but they just take, James McAvoy and Jennifer Lawrence Jennifer Lawrence. I don't think I can talk about Jennifer Lawrence's performance in this movie without getting really, really mad. It's just bad. So they take all these people who are capable of so much, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, and they suck out all of the opportunity to let them really shine and do what they do very best, which is to elevate a genre that is so easy to lampoon to something grand. And that's why you hire these people, and to give them a script that robs them of the opportunity to do that. I think it's a real shame. And I think, 2019, the industry has demonstrated that it's capable of so much better. That Simon Kinberg comes out and says, you know what, we really think that this is kind of a spiritual cousin to Logan. It's a travesty.
And this is after reshoots too.
Yeah. Not even remotely close to what others, even in this franchise, have been able to deliver, and it's frustrating. So I'm ready. I'm ready for a new cast. I'm ready to see what they do with the next chapter, and I can't wait to see what every single actor in this movie does once they distance themselves from this franchise, because they're all incredible people. Yeah. Well,
Simon Kinberg, unfortunately, has not been a great writer across the board as far as what he's done in Hollywood. No. He was involved in Logan, but only as a producer. The stuff that he writes, I'm just looking through his list, and I'm like,
yep,
there's nothing that's that great. This is the guy. Why do they give?
And they let him direct this. This is his first time directing a feature, and I don't know what he did to earn that. It's a shame, because this was always the story arc that I haven't read this, but it's one I just kept hearing about. It's like this legendary, great story. And so I was hoping this was going to be the realization of that. But apparently there's just a struggle of being able to translate this to the screen. They just haven't found a way to crack this story in a way, or find the right people to do it.
Well, and I always find it hard, or I find it boggling, I think, when people get involved in franchises and only because they make money do they keep the people on the franchise. The X-Men franchise has been making money, but still, the reviews have been successfully getting worse and worse. Kinberg was involved in co-writing X-Men The Last Stand, X-Men First Class he just produced, X-Men Days of Future Past he wrote, Fantastic Four he wrote, Apocalypse he wrote. By this point, it's like, why is he still, I don't know. It's frustrating. I'd think that they'd say, let's find somebody else who can find a tone that will help. But, this is what happens with these people in Hollywood who are so multi-titled that, all these people, they are involved in projects at such a great extent that they basically become producers. And by becoming a producer, you kind of almost guarantee yourself a position on the continuation of the franchise, whether you're really benefiting it or not.
Yeah. It's one of those movies that made me that made me mad, and there are a few movies that make me mad. And Geostorm was one. I think the most angry I have ever been walking out of a movie is Lucy. I felt like that movie betrayed me. This movie is down there with Lucy. Independence Day. I actually raised my star rating on the Omega Man by a half star to 1 full star because of Dark Phoenix. I thought that half star review of Omega Man that's a tragedy now. It is unwarranted. I had to change my view. So anyhow, that was the big update from just last night.
Well, thanks for taking one for the team.
You got it.
But what about, have you guys, either of you, gotten a chance to see John Wick 3?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. All right.
I did.
See, there. Hopefully that was not a 1-star or half-star review, right?
No, it was delightful.
Okay.
I had, you know what, it was I think that movie was a tricky movie. Andy, have you seen it yet?
No, I have. I still,
right.
per Steve's rule, I have to still watch the first two.
It's not a rule. You always convert
it was a
things
rule. You said.
It's highly recommended that, yes, if you forgot about the whole, structure of the organization and all of that, it may help you.
Yeah.
Didn't say you have to.
I need to.
Yeah,
I honestly,
you live by rules.
I don't remember much about the movies.
Yeah. You should.
Just that he's getting revenge for his dog.
Right.
That's kind of all I remember. I don't even remember what the point of the second one is.
Yeah, that's why you need to see at least the second one again, because it builds.
Which makes me wonder why. I don't know. That's my recollection of the second one. I remember enjoying the action, but I'm like, the story I don't remember at all. Why is this so highly regarded? I don't know. I need to rewatch it because maybe I'll think it's a bunch of junk.
Why would you say that, you troll?
I don't know why he would say that either.
You keep that stuff in your head.
But maybe I'll enjoy it. Who knows?
So trolling right now. I can't stand it.
I am a terrible person.
I had, let's just say in Andy's parlance, I had more quibbles with John Wick 3, and yet I still had a blast of a time. And they do, this movie levels up blood spatter, like close-up gunshot blood spatter. I'm serious.
Yes.
That is a work of damned art in this movie. Every time they did it, I was just on the edge of my seat. Like, that is amazing. That's amazing what they did. So I can't wait for you to see it, Andy, so we can talk quibbles, because I'm pretty sure you're going to have some.
Oh, okay. Well, now I'm very excited. I don't have much news, but I do just want to talk a little bit about what's going on in North Carolina, which is probably not related to what you think we want to talk about. But we've been talking a lot about states giving money to productions, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And news dropped this week that some DC properties were canceled, if not canceled completely, including the new DC show Swamp Thing was one of those, which has been getting some interesting early reviews from the pilot that was kind of being shown around, and that season 1 had already been done and locked, and then. I don't even know. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do it complete justice, because it sounds like a complete mess. Rep. Ted Davis Jr. says that due to a miscommunication, the state's film grant is nearly penniless in the coming fiscal year, to the tune of like $80 million was originally budgeted for the state, and it was like somebody missed a memo, so they thought they had 67 million left to give to these production houses, and it turns out that's wrong. There is no money left. Sorry, productions that you thought were getting all this money and you are already nearly finished producing. You have no money from the state, and so we're not helping you anymore. So these productions from, in this case from DC, they're done. DC has said, we're just done. Instead of getting $40 million, DC Universe is getting only $13 million in grant funding from the state, a significant cut. And So they said, okay, I guess we're done. No more Swamp Thing. They are going to release the first season that they have already completed, but they've scaled production back. They're only going to release 10 episodes, which is what they had finished. And now they're just done because of the state just, I don't know, moving a comma. I don't know. They just messed up budgeting and are not able to give the money. And that made me think about just the fragility of these financial arrangements with all of the different bodies that have to be a part of these things. And when you look at the thread as people try to uncover and unravel what happened in this North Carolina case, it just makes me think how easy it is for all of these sort of financial arrangements to, they're houses of cards in this production economy, right? The uncertainty of what is going on in these states that have heretofore been so film and TV friendly. I don't have much of a background on this stuff, but I was wondering, Andy, if you had any thoughts on that kind of a thing, because you live in a little bit more of that production universe.
Tax incentives have always been a tricky thing. It's like any incentive that a government provides any industry to come and work there. It can help an economy, but you're always going to find opponents and proponents of it because it can help boost an economy. There are benefits to having these incentives. A film industry that comes into a state when it's an outside production company, it can help the state's economy because there are more people staying in hotels. There are more people buying gas and buying food and renting locations and all this sort of stuff. It can be a real benefit, but there is also a lot of, on the flip side, a lot of research showing how it's not as helpful as people think. And it can drain these governments because they're putting so much money, especially these big states where they have these huge tax incentives like North Carolina. They're funneling out so much money to these incentives, but they're not seeing as much governmental return on their investment. And it's an interesting avenue and perpetual argument. And that's why a state like Arizona, where I am, is always running into issues as we try to reintegrate a tax incentive for the film industry into our economy here, because it is a very right-wing state. And because of that, they're a lot more cautious about giving money to these sorts of incentive programs because they don't see as much of the benefit. And it makes it more challenging. And so I think that, and it fluctuates. I know New Mexico has gone through similar fluctuations of it being a very popular thing and less popular. I think right now it's a very popular thing in New Mexico still, but it's just something that states have to be really managing well, because they can end up funneling so much money out that it can cause real issues if they're kind of not monitoring it. It's an interesting program.
Well, I guess that's a question. That's the question to me. Like, what does it look like when it is done well? Right. You look at Arizona that is saying, I don't know that we get the return on, the value of these sort of productions. So why would we give them? So what is an example of a state that has done it well? That where the industry becomes kind of an inseparable relationship. It with all of the news about what's going on in West Virginia, and it seems like productions, they're going to be able to pull up stakes and move someplace else if they really had to. So what's a state that's done it well, that actually gets something out of it?
I mean, I don't know if I'm an expert on that, but I would just say the ones that seem to have been doing it the longest and have managed their systems well, New Mexico, Louisiana, Georgia, seem to be the three key states that have been doing it the longest. And so I would argue if they've been doing it the longest, they've probably figured out a system to kind of manage it better than those others. I think Michigan was doing it for a while, and it had an incredible incentive, and a lot of productions were up there. But then all of a sudden, it was shut down, and I think it's just because they couldn't manage it in a way where it was actually delivering what they wanted it to. But I would say that those 3 states, and of course, it also ends up playing into politics because Georgia now is facing an entirely different, problem with its tax incentive program and all the production that has been going there because of other elements of politics. And, it can create, issues when it gets tied into the political system like that.
It feels like such a fragile thing, especially when you look at the role of politics in these financial arrangements. But sorry to the folks who are working on Swamp Thing. It looked like an interesting entree into the DC small screen universe, and I weirdly, it's one I'm excited about, and I hope they find a way to revitalize it. I hope it gets some traction, but I worry.
Yeah, it only aired 1 episode, and they said it's canceled.
Yeah, I worry that because of that, like it's the news of the cancellation is going to pick up more steam than just and clearly they're going to dump it on the streaming service, and I'm just not sure that that's going to be enough to get people to see it. So
I don't know.
Any other news that you guys would like to talk about?
I've got some Marvel-ish. Well, I guess it's Marvel news-ish.
All right,
I would call it. I came
Marvel
across this
adjacent.
article. Yeah, well, no, it's Marvel. I don't know that it's news, but apparently they're the Avengers, Endgame, there's still, articles popping up. And I guess this was an article on Empire. They sat down with some of the writers to talk about some of the, twists and different parts of the story. But the first one on their list is the one that was really intriguing to me, because I guess there had been some fan speculation as to how the Avengers would go about how do you kill Thanos? And I guess there was a theory that, well, if Ant-Man got really, really small and got inside Thanos and then went giant, it would just rip him to shreds.
Right.
But apparently one of the writers, Christopher Marcus, said, look, Thanos could take a punch from the Hulk. We've seen that, and it stands to reason his whole body is at least as strong as that. If Ant-Man expanded, he would simply be crushed against the immovable walls of Thanos' mighty rectum. Because I guess people thought that's the way to get into Thanos.
It would go in his butt.
It would go in. Well, there you go.
And did you see the little animated bit of the opposite happening, or is that where you're leading with this?
No, I didn't. No, I just saw this article and I thought, oh, Ant-Man in the butt and expanding Thanos. But no,
someone created the reverse of that, where Thanos uses one of his power stones as Ant-Man is coming at him. He uses one of his power stones to basically take Ant-Man's powers, and then he goes small, jumps into Ant-Man's butt, and then enlarges and kills Scott Lang.
That's horrible.
Rips him into half. Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yep. Oh, internet. You never cease to amaze.
No, they don't.
Well, and I don't. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No. It's just I did not know that was a fan theory that was out there, that this was like people were talking about this is a way that they could do it. I thought, no, that's not what they're. I mean, it's an interesting idea of if you could get inside Thanos, why not through his ear, you explode his head or something like that,
Yeah, why his rectum?
Yeah, because
maybe the rest of him isn't
the internet
as
is 13 years old.
Is.
That's why, because the internet is perpetually 13 years old and butts are funny. So
butts are funny. And, if he goes in the butt, this is obviously a horrible, horrible thing to think about. But I don't think he would necessarily, it's not like he would be crushed if he gets large in there. And I think what would happen is the immovable walls, he would just turn like straight to pudding, right? And just kind of, it would be just more of a discharge, a rectal discharge from Thanos. It would just Thanos would be like, wow, I ate something terrible. I mean, and it's more of a Dumb and Dumber moment, right? He's I'm shaving. I'm just washing my hands. This is yes. So we go from tax incentives to Thanos diarrhea, all in the span of about 4 minutes. Welcome to Saturday Matinee, a top of the morning to you.
That's what we do.
How we do trailers.
Probably.
Oof. Yeesh. All right.
Who's first?
Well, no rules apply, so I guess first up is the first who posted.
Yeah,
so
go ahead, Pete.
Take it away, Pete.
Is it me, really?
Yeah, you got your first post.
Hallelujah. Check me out. So, all right. So the trailer that I did is for a movie of disputable title. It was the original title was Numis. And I was ready to talk all about Numis because I thought it was going to be a play on some sort of reverse thing. And the big question I had was, how long into the movie do we have to wait for someone to figure out Numis is Simon backwards? I thought that was going to be a major reveal that I picked up. You heard it here first. Simon did it, everybody. Simon did it. It turns out that the title, as Steve so deftly sleuthed, might just be Night Hunter. And it is from writer-director David Raymond. It stars Henry Cavill, a thoroughly bearded Henry Cavill, Alexandra Daddario, Stanley Tucci, Nathan Fillion's in it, Ben Kingsley, Minka Kelly is in it. I mean, check out that cast, you guys. It is the story of a local vigilante and a weathered lieutenant and the police force all getting caught up in trying to uncover a crime. It looks a series of crimes, and I was curious about this. The trailer started, and I thought, oh, that's an interesting play on what, Seven. And it just got more interesting from there. I thought the visuals were super compelling. It looked like something that did a good job of building a sense of impending threat and doom. And I like all these people. And so this is one of those movies where I hope the Dark Phoenix gap, the Dark Phoenix continuum is very, very short. Like the gap between the quality of the people and the quality of the script is very, very small. You want that small, approaching zero. And so that's my hope for Night Hunter. It's cruising in at 7.7 on the IMDb scale with 170 ratings in so far. So it's cruising up over 6 stars. That gives me hope. What'd you think?
Well, you should be at least happy to know that there is, in fact, a Simon character.
Yes, yes there is.
How much you want to bet he did it?
And, well, he's the crazy guy that they catch, of course.
He already did it.
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
You heard it here last.
Pete.
Yeah.
This trailer was so poorly made. I was shocked that the quality of this trailer with these actors, I'm like, what is going on here? Like everything about this trailer was like the audio mix was bad. Like nothing was good. And so it was very strange to me to watch this trailer with such a strong cast that was done so poorly. And I'm not saying the film is, I'm just saying that the trailer company that they hired to cut the trailer, they need to be fired and gotten rid of because it was one of the worst trailers I've seen.
Oh no.
It was so distracting from the rest of it, which looks interesting. It looks like it could be an interesting one, but it was just such a bad trailer. So bad.
I'm sorry. It grated on you so.
It did.
It did me as well because I thought, why is the music so loud? I can't hear what people are saying. And then I've got foreign subtitles across the bottom that aren't helping me at all understand what people are saying. So it was very confusing visually. Things going on. What I'm able to piece together from the story, I'm really interested in this story. I like this whole setup of, sort of the, to catch a predator type, show gone, really, vigilante. But then the twist of that, his bait gets, snatched up and they're trying to find her. I hope that with this cast, as you said, that we can close that gap because it looks like a really unique story. I like the approach, the setup that they're taking. I suspect that it's going to have a very predictable ending to it. That won't stop me from enjoying it if it's well executed. But yeah, the trailer just didn't do much for me. And I have concerns that if that's the first trailer we're getting as an international trailer, is this going to be a direct to video, direct to streaming release? Because it's a shame because I think this cast can really do something if in the right hands, and this is something that I would hope to see. It reminds me of something like Prisoners, where it's like a really dark, exploration going in a new direction, has that potential, but the way that this is being, released, I don't know that it's that film.
Well, that's unfortunate. I have higher opinions of it than you guys do, but I totally see your point. And the thing that worries me when it's all said and done is, not so much about the quality of the trailer. It's the fact that with this cast, our release date is September 28th in the U.S. at the Los Angeles Film Festival, not a wide release. The first wide release, we'll call it wide, is August 15th in Russia so far. So the first release date after the U.S. Film Festival is Russia, then Portugal, France, and Greece, with no other release dates scheduled. So this is a movie that I think it looks like is struggling to get distribution in the biggest of the big markets, and so that gives me some concern that it's. So I guess my hope is that it has less predictable legs that are able to sustain it once people start seeing it. So, so far it looks like, 170 of friends and family, will say, enjoyed their experience with this movie. So, I'm hopeful. I stand hopeful. Who's next?
I think that's me. I believe,
Steve,
because I was going along with the same trend of one-word titles. That was going to be a theme. That was what we were going to do, since you had No Miss.
That's right.
Simon backwards.
I'm keeping that in the show notes, by the way, so that we can keep with the one-word title.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Of course.
Night Hunter be damned.
And as I said earlier, I wasn't going to watch the 2007 Funny Games with Naomi Watts and Tim Roth, but I am going to bring a trailer for a movie with Naomi Watts and Tim Roth in it. And this is a story about a married couple that is forced to reckon with their idealized image of their son, who was adopted from war-torn, I can't pronounce that word, Eritrea. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. After a high school teacher makes an alarming discovery that threatens his status as an all-star student. And I don't know what is going on with Octavia Spencer between this and Ma. She's playing like crazy people. But the whole setup is this: you've got this family who thinks they know their son, and you've got a teacher who's now questioning some of the things he's done. And is there a dark side to their son? And it gets into sort of, stereotypes and race and all of these big questions. And this is the type of movie that I enjoy. I think it's with this cast. I'm excited to see what they do. It's a movie that I don't know where this is going to go. It's based on a play. So we've got it's not an original, it's a adaptation. So it's not a play that I'm familiar with, but the playwright adapted this in the screenplay. Director Julius Ona, who tried to maybe prove his directing skills with Cloverfield Paradox, but I can't blame him on that one. I think it was probably more script issues. So he's moving definitely far afield from Cloverfield Paradox with Loose. This is going to be hitting theaters in August. Again, this is one that I don't know is going to find an audience out there. It's subject matter that I don't know that people are in the summer. This isn't a feel-good, fun movie, but I hope that it raises some questions and gets people having some interesting conversations about the assumptions that we make about people or our expectations and stereotypes. So that's where I'm hoping to see this film go. What did you guys think?
I was riveted by this trailer. I thought it was fantastic, but now my entire worldview on my view of trailers is called into question. I thought it was riveting to every point that you made there, Steve. I think it's great. I mean, this idea of stereotypes, this idea of expectations. I was a little bit baffled by Octavia Spencer playing the Ma character. It felt like again, like I feel like that's an unfortunate. It's an unfortunate stack of properties to be out there with her name on them right now. Like maybe we need some years between her playing that particular character, because I'm not looking forward to it yet. Again, I haven't even seen the first one yet. So, and it feels so similar to me. just
Yes.
from what I've seen of these two characters. So I struggle a little bit with that. But I feel like Luce himself, the character of Luce, what's the actor's name again?
Kelvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, he looks great. Like, he looks like a charismatic young protagonist that I want to watch all the way through. So I think he's definitely leading the pack for me.
Yeah, he was great in It Comes at Night. That was a really interesting film from a couple years ago. And so and he's been acting. I mean, it looks like he's been doing stuff since 12 Years a Slave. And so
That's
definitely
right.
somebody did. Yeah. And he was in The Birth of a Nation and Mudbound. And he's got a busy career ahead of him too. I loved this trailer. It looks like a really interesting film. I feel like you guys are being a little too hard on it as far as the Octavia Spencer and Ma connection. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. It's just a trailer, and I don't quite get a sense that there's quite as much going on. I think the trailer for me plays like, is it her? Is it him? I don't know. Right. And I don't know. I found it to be really interesting the way that this trailer played out. And I loved that this trailer sets me up without kind of spelling out the whole story, which, I get really frustrated when trailers just give you the whole story. And this one doesn't. It really leaves me with just so many questions. So I had a great time watching this trailer, and this is something I'm going to be very curious to check out when it's released.
Yeah. I think that we can say probably Luce did it. So then we have a set of trailers where Luce did it and Simon did it. And then who did it in your trailer?
The harpoon. The harpoon did it. You guys, okay, so Steve forcibly made me pick a one-name trailer.
I gave Andy a rule, and he has to abide by it if it's a rule.
He strong-armed me into it. I can't tell you how many trailers I watched that had just one-name titles, looking for something that would be worth talking about. Let me just say, there are a lot of really bad trailers. There's Shaft, which unfortunately also looks really bad. And then weirdly, I have a flood of trailers from Indian cinema that are all one word. And I was watching some of those, and I'm like, I just don't know if I should pick one of these. I mean, they might be interesting, but I just don't know enough about about what they're trying to do. And none of them inspired me as much as that one where that man took the form of a fly, whatever that one was called that I picked years ago.
Yes.
Remember that one? This so I was going to go with the documentary, but you guys again strong-armed me into going with this horror trailer.
It's a horror comedy.
It's really what I wanted to go with.
Place. Yeah. That's how it comes. And Andy posts it, and Steve says, Andy, find a trailer for another movie with a one-word title. And Andy writes, like this, ? And you can tell what he's really saying is, please somebody say yes like this. Please somebody tell me that this is okay. That's what I heard in that post.
That's right. That's exactly. You heard right. You heard right. Oh dear. Yeah, Harpoon, it doesn't look like it's necessarily a good movie, but it does have a 7.4 on IMDb.
Based on 49 reviews.
49 votes. And I would like to imagine that, like the trailer, those 49 votes are probably the director's mom and all the friends and family involved, because as the trailer so comically points out, as it starts off, with the narrator basically in a very meta way telling you about movie trailers that use big, bold review quotes like tense as hell and hilarious masterpiece. But then you look at below it and it says tense as hell, a site that could destroy our careers. Hilarious masterpiece, someone that totally gets the movie. And they're really playing it. Best movie ever, said no one ever. And then the director's mom has something that pops up. It's very silly. The trailer doesn't really tell you a whole lot of what's going on, but my sense of it is that this is a story of a group of friends who go out on a boat, and something goes wrong, and they're trapped out in the middle of the ocean. And basically it looks like they basically have to start killing each other to survive. Like they have to, go cannibalistic. I have no idea if that's really what it's about, but that's my sense from watching the trailer. It doesn't look that great, but it looks like it could be fun. The trailer, I don't know. It could be goofy fun. So who knows? That's Harpoon. What did you guys think of this one?
It would be such a twist if the harpoon actually saves everybody.
Right?
We're gonna
a good horror comedy
and write it out. Everybody, hang on! I can't wait.
That is possible. Although it does say, IMDb says rivalries, dark secrets, and sexual tension emerge when three best friends find themselves stranded on a yacht in the middle of the ocean under suspicious circumstances. So I don't know what the suspicious circumstances are, but the fact that it's labeled a comedy horror, I am always up for a good combination of those, because it's going to give me all the scares and gore and all that, but it's not taking itself so seriously. It's going to allow itself to be ridiculous, to embrace some of the tropes and the genres of something like this. You stick three people on a yacht. Where can you go with that story? Not a lot of places. So it's going to get ridiculous, and I expect to fully just have fun with this.
Yeah, I'm on board. But I also just gave 1 star and a heart review to Beats of Rage. So take that for what you will. Let's do lists, shall we? Or when's it coming out? How soon can I get to see it?
I don't know. Yeah, Harpoon, it looks like it's getting released. Right now, it only has a release date, International Film Festival Rotterdam, which happened back in January of 2019. So I don't know if was there another date on the trailer? I don't think so. Recall. It just says coming soon. So coming soon, all Pete. Right. Coming soon.
Soon I shall see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's do lists. Now, I wasn't here last week, so set us up.
Yeah, we were talking about Notorious, and this is Hitchcock's Ingrid Bergman, Cary Grant film. And so Steve and I put our heads together and came up with, I think, some pretty solid options for our list. We did, let's see, what did we do? Now I'm forgetting, because I have to scroll so far back. Sneaky Schemes, Poisoning, and The Leftover Nazis. The Leftover Nazis is what took it. So, when you're looking in your fridge and you need something to take to work that day, pass up that corned beef sandwich half and go for the leftover Nazis instead.
Okay.
All right. So Pete, you want to kick yours off since you started the trailers? We kind of keep creating all these new rules. It's fun.
I like it. I like it this week. So the first one is a new to me movie. It is a new to me movie that was released in 2015. It was, I believe, a trailer pick from one of us. So it's fodder for Trailer Rewind.
So it's got that going for us.
It is the film follows an elderly and dementia-laden Christopher Plummer as he goes across the country to find the person, the Nazi block leader at Auschwitz that he believes is responsible for the death of his family. And he is guided there by a wheelchair-bound Martin Landau. So both of these guys are playing old men, and they're out for vengeance. It's a vengeance story. So there's that. Do you know Curb Your Enthusiasm, the show?
Yes.
Okay, so you know the music. Blah, da, 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 da,
yes.
Da, 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 you know that music? I want you, when you watch this movie, have either of you seen it?
No.
Okay. You got to put that in your head as you're watching the first 40 minutes of this movie. It will make it better.
Wow.
It will be an improvement because there's something about it. There's nothing about the first part of this movie that doesn't come off as just sort of weirdly bumbling. And I think I don't know if Adam McGoyan was trying to make this comedy, but he should have. Then it goes crazy dark and it's very twisty. And so there are definitely some redemptive things going on at the end. I won't spoil it because I know it's fairly recent and you guys haven't seen it. But it is there is definitely some Nazi hunting. There is some leftover Naziing in this movie. Is it worth seeing at a 7.5 on the IMDb scale? No, it's not quite there for me, but it'll be at a 6. I think it is at a 6. And if you're an Adam McGoyan fan, I think you'll like the very twistiness at the end.
Oh, my. Extra twisty.
I'm not a fan.
You're not a fan of Adam Egoyan?
Extra twisty.
No, there's nothing of his that I've seen that I haven't seen that much, but I don't know.
Yeah, I've only seen a couple of his films. He's never wowed me, but I will say the two films, I think two films that I've seen of his are ones that have stuck with me though.
I wanted this to be a thing that just was a complete slam dunk. I mean, the material is so juicy. Like it is a really interesting sort of Memento style story, and it just doesn't communicate that very well.
Was it based on something or was it original by him?
Original property.
Okay.
All right. So that's my number one. Remember, and I pick it because it is the most recent. That is the high title that I give this. Everything else gets older from here. So there you go. Remember.
All right, Steve.
Okay. All right. This was a challenge to put some stuff together. I don't know why I thought this would be easier to pull off. But I did find a few things and lots of things that I haven't seen in a while. So I thought, well, maybe it'll be time to revisit these to see how well they held up. But my first one is a story. It's a really interesting cast on this one, and it sort of splits across two eras in time. But we start off in 1965 with some Mossad agents crossing into East Berlin to apprehend a notorious Nazi war criminal. Some things happen, and then we revisit this group 30 years later as some of the secrets that they were trying to hide from back in the 65 come back to haunt them in John Madden's 2010 film The Debt, with an amazing cast. Helen Mirren, Tom Wilkinson, who else? Jessica Chastain, Sam Worthington. I remember seeing this. I think I rented this and really enjoyed it. It had some, I'm always up for a good thriller with some twists to it. So that's my first one on this list. I don't know if either of you had seen
the first steal.
Oh, right.
I was on my list, but not a steal. So I love it.
It was a really interesting story. I enjoyed it. It's not one that stuck with me that much, but it certainly was an interesting one. And I liked the aspects of the kind of that trying to track down that last Nazi. It was a good story. I liked it.
Yeah.
I'm doing one that I am pretty sure I've put on a list in the past, but no, it's not a movie we've talked about on the show, so I'm going to allow myself this one. But it's because it's a good film, and I think more people do need to see it. Even though it was kind of an awards type of movie, Kate Winslet won an Oscar for it. After all, it is, of course, the 2008 film The Reader, directed by Stephen Daldry. This is a movie that it really stuck with me, and I found it to be a really powerful story about this teenager who kind of falls for this older woman and has an affair with her. And then, years later, things, she resurfaces as a defendant in this war crimes trial because she was a guard at a concentration camp. And the boy now is a grown-up Ralph Fiennes, and it's just a really interesting kind of examination of this relationship between these two and the secrets of their past and all of that. I just found it to be such an interesting film, and it's one that really did stick with me. So that's my first pick, The Reader. You guys seen that one?
I don't think I have. I don't think I've seen it. I think I read some review somewhere that said Oscar baity, and I probably said, "Oh, I'll read it."
Well, maybe, and maybe it is, but I don't know. The story really stuck with me. I found it to be a really interesting story. So I think it's worth checking out. I don't know if it's I don't know if I want to end up kind of creating a Patient Zero in the Name of the Father again, where all of a sudden everybody watches it and they all like, meh. But whatever.
See, it got Kate Winslet had two movies that came out that year, and both of them I'm like, yeah, it's a drama. It wasn't anything I was going to rush out into the theater to see, and there's been nothing that's just been strong enough to compel me to see either The Reader or Revolutionary
Road. That's a hard one to watch.
And I just felt like both. I was just like, I don't know, that the subject matter just seemed heavy. I'm like, do I really want to put myself through this? Is it going to be a rewarding experience, or is it just going to be abusing myself? Now, I'm saying that after telling you I just watched
it's not
Games,
a film like Funny Games where you're going to walk away saying that I just tortured myself for 2 hours. So at least you got that going for you. Plus, I mean, the performances are stellar. I mean, Ralph Fiennes, of course, is always brilliant, and Kate Winslet really. I feel like she did deserve an Oscar. She's just really great in this film.
Yeah.
All right, Pete. What's next for you?
Well, okay. So I'm going back in time a little bit. So Remember was the newest new to me movie. I watched that last night, stayed up way too late. This morning, I wanted to watch something that has been on my list for a long, long time. And I had never seen. I don't even know what to say about this. It's a Nazi hunting science fiction jam from 1978 from Franklin Schaffner. Is it a steal yet? Hey, there we go. The Boys from Brazil. Thank goodness for YouTube. The whole thing is on there. Now that I've said that out loud, it'll be pulled. So
it's going to be gone. Yeah.
So watch it quick. But you can. It's out there. And it is the story of... I'm sorry. Gregory Peck plays Joseph Mengele, and he's making Nazi clones of Adolf Hitler, and he's trying to get them to be, he's got them all adopted by foster parents, and he's going to assassinate their fathers at the same time, and so it's a big assassination thing, and James Mason and Laurence Olivier are in this with Gregory Peck, and I had a really hard time with this movie. I thought it was maybe I watched it's because of Beats of Rage proximity, but I laughed probably more than the filmmakers intended me to laugh.
It's
during
so
this
much
movie.
better than you're giving it credit for. I enjoy this movie. It's really fun, and it
is entertaining. I'll tell you that,
but at least it's on the list, I guess.
The plot is your plot is over. No, your plot is over. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And so however you choose to take it, if you want to take it as a serious piece of cinema contribution, please do. I also enjoyed it. That is The Boys from Brazil. I'm glad it's on the list.
And it's got a great score.
That's one
I'm just going to throw that in there too.
It does. Oh, you have a great point. That's very true. I enjoyed that. Yes.
It's one that's been, I remember hearing about it, and it's one that I've always thought, oh, yeah, that cast, probably worth seeing at some point. I mean, based on a novel and all of this. So perhaps did you watch it on your laptop and YouTube, like on a, is it the fact that you were watching it in YouTube on a tiny screen that took away and detracted from perhaps the weight of the subject matter?
Well,
or is it just,
I watched it on
it's 70s and it's...
I watched it on a big screen. I watched it on a big screen.
Okay.
So, there's that. And I had headphones on. I could get in all that lush Goldsmith score. So.
All right. It's just, well, it's the 70s.
I watched it on my Palm Trio on the toilet, as intended.
All right. Well, no, I haven't seen it, but now I'm split between I'll get around to it someday.
The Reader,
all right.
Boys from Brazil. The Reader, Boys from Brazil.
There we go. Okay. All right. My next one's probably going to be a steal, because if you're talking about Nazis, why not do another Laurence Olivier film? Is this a steal for anybody yet? No? When you've got a graduate student played by Dustin Hoffman strapped to a chair with an evil dentist asking him, is it safe? Is it safe? John Schlesinger's 1976 Marathon Man, written by William Goldman.
Yeah, we've talked about it on the show, so it's not on my list.
Yeah, I was following the Andy rule, so...
Oh, I forgot.
It's part of our 1976 series, the first go around.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. Well, you know what, everybody? Go check out that episode on the show.
Definitely.
See? Go dig into the archives. There you go. Plug in the archives. That's what I meant to do.
It's a great movie, and certainly should be on the list. All right. So for my next one, I've had to, change things up a little bit because I've had two steals. I'm going to go way back to one that I honestly haven't seen in a very long time. So I feel a little hesitant to talk about it too much. But I remember enjoying it. It's Orson Welles' third film, The Stranger, from 1946. Edward G. Robinson is he's in hunting a potential Nazi in small town America. It's a fugitive, Franz Kindler, who is hiding somewhere in, I want to say, Connecticut. And and so he kind of goes to the town, and it's this kind of it's this fun story that Orson Welles did. It was kind of his first dabbling in noir after his first two films, and it definitely doesn't feel as big as Citizen Kane, and I don't think it was as messed up as The Magnificent Ambersons, but it still is a really interesting one. An interesting note, it's the first Hollywood film to actually have documentary footage of the Holocaust included in it. So that's my next choice, The Stranger from 1946.
That's a great pick. It was it was on my backup list too, if only because I think Edward G. Robinson is just great. Yes. He's like the war crimes guy, right? I mean, exactly. He's like the prosecutor.
Yeah, he's hunting him down, and it's got a great climactic thing going on a windmill. Yeah. It's kind of cool. It's a fun one to watch. All right, Pete, final pick.
Okay. That's me. That's me. I take this one much more seriously than The Boys from Brazil. When I get confronted by leftover Nazis, I immediately call Jon Voight because Jon Voight in director Ronald Neam's Neamy.
I think it's Neam.
You think it's Neam? Director Ronald Neam's 1974 film, The Odessa File. It's also very twisty. It's got the same sort of identity twist that is consistent with some of my other picks. I really like Jon Voight's. He plays the wide-eyed journalist, and he has a diary, and he's tracking down the SS captain. And I think he's fantastic. It's based on a wonderful screenplay by Kenneth Ross, based on the book, Frederick Forsyth book. I have never read the book, but I really enjoyed this movie. It also has a 7-star on IMDb, just like The Boys in The Boys from Brazil, and that puzzles me. So I stand by that. Anyway, The Odessa File, 1974, definitely worth seeing.
That's when I feel like I can't remember if I ever finished it. I know I started it and feel like
that doesn't bode well if you weren't even able to finish it.
It was one of those, like, I started late at night, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I started it, but I don't think I ever got around to finishing it. I think I forgot about it, or Netflix dropped it or something. And so it's one I definitely need to return to because I was enjoying it.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's good. Steve, have you seen that one?
I see World War II movies, just not a thing I really enjoy, or Nazi, not that that's a World War II thing, but just that genre is just not something that's been a high interest to me. So
that Schindler's List.
I don't know. No, I see. There's some that I do. But it seems like we go through fits and spurts of, like, where there's high interest in those types of things. Like in the 70s, you've got a lot of that, and it just not anything that was of interest to me when I was in high school and working in a video store. And just since then, I'm like, there's better things to watch. So
interesting.
Yeah,
sorry,
I hear it.
Yeah. So, which makes my list really challenging, because I'm looking and I'm seeing all these things. I'm like, nope, haven't seen it. So I'm really stretching the rules on this third one, because when you say leftover Nazis, it's like there's Nazis that are still around. So this is a movie that's got Nazis in it, but they're more next-gen Nazis. You might call them neo-Nazis.
Next-gen Nazis is so much easier to market. Yeah, that's good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's Nazis, and they're here in America, and you could say they're leftover because they're still influenced by those ideals. But when I think of Nazis, this is one of the first movies that come to mind. And I know there were a lot of issues in production and all this, and I remember seeing it and enjoying it. It's, again, not one that I'll probably watch again, but 1998's American History X has Nazis in it. is on my list because they're leftovers because they're not originals. Yes,
I'm sure they would like to be referred to as unoriginal. The unoriginal Nazis.
The unoriginal Nazis, or the next gen Nazis.
Right.
Nazis 2.0.
Right.
I don't know.
That's a tough film to watch. Oof.
Yep, that's a film I only needed to watch once.
Yeah, but a good one. I really enjoyed it as much as you can enjoy a film like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, good pick. For my final one, I feel like, you can't have a conversation about leftover Nazis without talking about the film Judgment at Nuremberg from 1961. That's my final pick, Stanley Kramer's film that really looks at the Nuremberg trials and talk about big casts, Pete, Spencer Tracy, Burt Lancaster, Richard Widmark, Maximilian Schell, Werner Klemperer, Marlene Dietrich, Judy Garland, William Shatner, Montgomery Clift. The list goes on. It's a big cast, and it's an epic film about the trials, and it's a really interesting kind of look at it and an exploration of kind of just everything that it represented as far as the atrocities committed, the non-combatants, the civilians, the just kind of how complex everything was. It's a really fascinating study, and I'm sure it's probably just, a tip of the iceberg sort of thing, but I still found it to be an excellent way to just kind of get a sense of everything that was going on, just the complexities of kind of having to think about these things. Are you in the right because all you were doing was following orders? I found it to be a fascinating study. So definitely worth checking out Stanley Kramer's Judgment at Nuremberg.
Yeah, this was fantastic. Just fantastic. I saw this on the big screen at Chautauqua during a week. Yeah, a week actually that was led by folks from the Justice Center who were talking about, what was going on in this movie, what was going on, what was it telling? I mean, it's such an amazing historical experience that is just perfectly captured in this movie. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely one worth checking out.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing you haven't seen it, Steve.
Nope.
Yeah.
Steve, I think this is one that you could find yourself getting behind.
Oh, yeah. Probably.
More than just the leftover Nazi bits.
Right. Oh, sure. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so that's
it. That's our
it,
list.
Right? You were it. That was it. You were the last one.
Yeah.
All right. What are we doing now?
Well, we were looking at the first collaboration between Ingrid Bergman and her future husband Roberto Rossellini. This is Stromboli from 1950. I had alluded to the fact that none of us had seen it. And then, Pete, very shortly after you posted that you went and watched it. So being the person who saw it, I think that you should lead the conversation here.
It was really funny. As you were posting it, I was like in the last 20 minutes of watching it. So I have thoughts on just the movie. What did some other people ended up posting some things, right?
I think Steve posted a few things like volcanoes.
Oh, I went to the IMDb plot keywords because where else are you going to go when you have no concept of the movie? And I think I got it with, for based on the plot summary, there's volcanoes, there's like beating your wife. The other thing that seemed to show up a lot was there was something about rabbits, ferrets, and like actually killing animals. Yeah. But I didn't put that on my list.
Yeah. And so that was one that actually stuck out to me. There, the use of just sort of documentary, not just documentary tools, but like it switches to a documentary. So get, like non-voiceover. This is man against nature. This is nature against nature. You're going to watch the whole thing, and we as actors are going to stand here and watch this happening. And welcome to Italian neorealism, everybody. It's hard. And so there was that. There's this whole sequence of fishing where you're watching them actually fish, and it's hard on the character. So I thought something related to, I have no idea where I would even start to pull together a list like this, but something related to incorporating real footage, whether that's like, whether we use the word documentary or not, but incorporating just actual footage of, I don't know what that would be. But that sticks with me. There's a lot of that in this movie. Anything jump out at you there that you can rephrase that somehow?
I would non-narrative doesn't really that doesn't work. I mean,
yeah, because it's part of the narrative.
I'll say, how about docu-style?
Okay.
Or incorporating some docu-style footage.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. We'll see if that holds up once you see the movie.
I feel
the ferret versus rabbit thing is it surprised me too.
I feel like we could do Life on an Island pretty easily. Yeah, that seems like that gives us a lot of options.
Well, and I don't think we can discount the role of the volcano.
Yeah,
there is.
It's active too, right?
A volcano. Oh yeah, it's active.
So why don't we do active volcanoes?
Well, and that's another bit of the documentary kind of style. The docu style is that they show a fleeing of the volcano in the movie of real people fleeing a volcano on I don't know if it's that island or not. I haven't finished my research yet, but it is. Supposedly the stuff where people are running, they're really the real people running from real lava.
Okay. Well, I feel like that's it then. Incorporating some docu-style footage, Life on an Island, and active volcanoes. I
like it.
Okay. Well, there it is. That's going up in
the
show talk.
Waponi Woo.
That's right. That's going up in the just as a reminder, we have talked about Joe versus the Volcano on the show.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Well, I'm going to put that in the Show Talk channel over on Discord. So go ahead and get your votes in, everybody. It'll be pinned there. You can find it that way and get your votes cast so we can pick for our conversation next Saturday.
Outstanding. Oh, I can't wait for you to see this.
Wow, we already have a vote. Look at that.
Oh, yeah, I voted.
Oh, okay.
I went in and voted. Oh. I wanted to vote. I showed up. It's posted. I'm like, we'll vote.
So fast.
Get it in there.
You guys are so
because
fast.
then if I get my vote in there early, then later on, if it's not going the way I want, I can redistribute my vote.
See how he does
the poll the way I want it to go.
It totally does.
And you're going live on an island, Steve? I was sure you were going to be going with incorporating docu-style footage.
Yeah, I'll have to think about that one. But Life on an Island, that one's easy.
Oh, I'm going for active volcanoes.
All right, go ahead. There we go. All right, 2 votes. Okay, fine. Hey, Ray just voted for active volcanoes also. All right. Okay.
Ray
all
knows.
Right.
Ray knows.
I'm changing my vote.
Fine. There you go.
We've got a hell of a horse race this week, everybody. Thank you so much for downloading and listening to this circus. And get your votes in the Show Talk channel right now. Hurry before it's too late. And thank you all for supporting the show. If you're supporting us at patreon.com/thenextreel, we sure appreciate it. It helps us do things like not just this show. Please don't take this as the bar that we set for the production of your decision to help to donate to the show each and every month. We do other stuff too, like the Next Reel Weekly show and the Trailer Rewind show that Steve and JJ do, and lest we forget the Marvel Movie Minute, Movies by Minute show covering all the movies of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So thank you, everybody. Your donations directly support us continuing to dive into those properties for years now. Thanks, gents. Steve, Andy, what's the first thing you're going to watch, Steve?
Oh, I've got to get back into my Criterion Noir because I've only got till the end of the month to finish this thing up. So whatever is next on the list, so I'll be knocking out a couple Noir, and then, gosh darn it, later today or tomorrow, going to get out there and see that Booksmart.
I think that's going to be mine too. I'm going to have to sneak out and see that one next. Andy, what's yours?
Well, aside from Stromboli, I started watching Bonjour Tristesse, so I'm going to try to get that one finished up here sometime soon.
Outstanding. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Check out some movies. We'll catch you next week.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Hondo.